Today I am going to give you a simple look at 7 Hindu texts called the Puranas, as published under the Penguin Classics line and translated by the late Bibek de Broy, who also translated the Harivamsha and the critical editions of Ramayana and Mahabharata. For Indian consumers, these cost between $5.99 and $7.99 rupees. Since I live in the United States, these are import books and tend to go for between $15 and $25. Anyways, these are part of a greater effort called the Purana Project, in which Penguin intended to translate and publish all 18 Mahapuranas. After Bibek de Broy's passing, however, I have no clue if this project is going to continue, though I do know that Bibek himself finished Matsya Purana and at least began work on Garuda Purana. The 13 volumes that are available now are Brahma Purana, 2 volumes, Bhagavata Purana, 3 volumes, Markandeya Purana, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana in 3 volumes, Brahmanda Purana in 2 volumes, and Kurma Purana. As you would expect for a general release such as this, the translations are very contemporary and readable while staying true to the Sanskrit source material. Since these are not necessarily devotional or scholarly editions of the books, you won't get heavy commentary, but you will get consistent footnotes explaining some key terms and background information. Each of these features a beautiful cover with illustrations by Shamanthi Rajasingam, which depicts a relevant scene in a stylized way without fully breaking from the look and feel of traditional Hindu devotional art. Though there are some issues, these might just be some of the prettiest books Penguin ever published, and their colorful but reserved spines are a welcome break from the typical classics line. All 13 of these books begin with an essay that simplifies the description of what the Puranas are and their translation history before segueing into an introduction for whatever Purana you're reading at the moment. Footnotes explaining textual issues, Sanskrit terms, and further context are included throughout, and many of them also include a closing article, though what you're getting with them is relatively bare bones compared to what you might expect. You don't get a glossary, you don't get an index, and honestly, you don't even get a table of contents. I mean, you do sort of get a table of contents, but it's always laughably useless. Like this one in Brahma Purana that only lists acknowledgements, the essay, and the text itself, even though the book is around 1,000 pages long and is divided up well with section headings every few pages. Only later books like the Shiva, Kurma, and Brahmanda Puranas sort of give you a table of contents, but it's really more like a spreadsheet that tells you how long each section is without giving you any page numbers. You could easily write in this to make it a table of contents, but it just barely isn't one. Another peculiarity I've noticed is the general inconsistency in how these books are made. The spine designs don't quite match. Brahma Purana is noticeably shorter than the other books. Different printings from different places aren't consistent in their sizes, and I've even seen pictures where one volume in a set of Bhagavata Purana is colored differently than the others. That sort of thing is all over these books. This doesn't personally bother me all that much, but some more uniformity would have been nice. The physical quality of the books is nothing special, but it's fine. They tend to be just floppy enough to be comfortable to read, and they are printed on recycled paper that remind me of a phone book. Well, all except for these 2 copies of Shiva Purana Volume 2 and 3, which are missing the recycled paper logo that's on the back of the other books. As a result, these 2 have higher quality paper, but the spines are stiff and fragile in a way that makes reading uncomfortable and may damage the book. Again, this is an inconsistency. Just remember to look for the FSC logo. Overall, despite my nitpicks, I do recommend these books for easy consumption of the Puranas without commentary, and I commend Penguin India and Bibek de Broy for their work in making these texts more accessible. My hope is that someday in the future we'll be able to see these books in a deluxe hardcover set, similar to what Penguin did for the Mahabharata, that will include table of contents, glossaries, and everything else we're missing in these original releases. But until then, good work from Penguin.